Hello, I'm Patricia Hurt, publisher of the Double Mountain Chronicle. In the first video, we covered resources for city council members in Texas. In the second video, we covered understanding city government roles, and we used Rotan City as an example. Now, we are going to discuss why Rotan has 4-year terms. In 1994, something happened that fundamentally changed how Rotan elects its city council. Most people don't know about it or even remember it, but it affects every election and every vacancy on the council. This is the story of the LULAC lawsuit. In the early 1990s, civil rights attorneys were looking at small towns across West Texas. They found a pattern even in towns with significant Hispanic populations. Hispanic residents had little or no representation on city councils or school boards. The problem was something called at-large elections with numbered places. In this system, everyone in the city votes for every seat. If you have a white majority that votes together as a block, they can control 100% of the seats, even if Hispanic residents make up 30 or 40% of the population. The traditional solution under the Voting Rights Act was to draw districts and carve up the city so minority voters can make a majority in at least one district. But here's the problem. In small towns like Rotan, Hispanic families weren't concentrated in one neighborhood. They were spread throughout the community. You couldn't draw a district that would work. In 1994, the League of United Latin American Citizens, LULAC, filed suit against the city of Rotan and the Rotan Independent School District. This case was LULAC versus City of Rotan in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas. The lawsuit alleged that Rotan's election system violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by diluting Hispanic voting strength. Rather than go to trial, the city and LULAC reached a settlement. That settlement required Rotan to make 2 major changes. Change 1. Instead of one person, one vote, Rotan adopted what's called cumulative voting. And here's how it works. When all 5 council seats are up for election, every voter gets 5 votes. You can spread those votes among different candidates, 1 vote each, or you can plump all 5 votes onto a single candidate. This changes the math in the winner-takes-all system. A cohesive majority can usually sweep every seat. With cumulative voting, when 5 seats are on the ballot, a cohesive group can often win 1 seat with roughly 17% of the electorate if it concentrates its vote on one single candidate. This means that a minority group that makes up roughly 1/6 of the voters can win representation, even if the majority prefers other candidates. So as long as that group votes together and uses the plumping strategy, they win. The second change was extending council terms from 2 years to 4 years. Most Type A general law cities in Texas have 2-year terms. That's the default under state law. Extending to 4 years normally requires a vote of the people under Article 11, Section 11 of the Texas Constitution. But in this case, it was mandated by the 1994 LULAC versus City of Rotan lawsuit settlement agreement and the U.S. Department of Justice. Why 4 years? Partly for stability. Longer terms means less constant campaigning. But there's also a practical reason. Cumulative voting works best when multiple seats are on the ballot at once. In Rotan, those 4-year terms are not staggered. So, all 5 council seats can be elected in the same cycle every 4 years, meaning the whole council and the mayor, who's elected separately, can potentially turn over all at once. Because Texas was a covered jurisdiction under the Voting Rights Act, these changes couldn't just be implemented. The U.S. Department of Justice had to review them first. This was called pre-clearance. The DOJ reviewed Rotan's new election system and approved it in early 1995. The first cumulative voting election was held on May 6, 1995. Now, some people might say that was 30 years ago. Why does it matter now? It matters because the settlement didn't just change how votes are counted, By adopting four-year terms, Rotan triggered a constitutional provision that most people have never heard of, but that controls what happens every time a council seat becomes vacant. That's what we'll explain in our next video, the constitutional consequences of four-year terms, and why Rotan may not be able to fill council vacancies the way it has been doing. The documents from this case can be found through the federal court records. Research on cumulative voting in Texas is available at fairvote.org and through the Mort's College of Law's Election Law Archive. We'll provide the links in the description below.